Garcia for his help to carry out the present integrated project. I have created a children's book entitled Lance's Dangerous Adventure, La Peligrosa Aventura de Lance. As you can see on the map, I was born in Queensland, Australia, in the city of Cairns. The original idea for this book came from my Australian heritage. I have chosen to base my project on Australia, as I will explain later on. I have divided the presentation into 8 parts. In the first part, I will talk about the idea and its origin. Then I shall briefly talk about the historical reference and background. Later on, I will deal with the target audience and the aesthetic aspects. After that, I will talk about the sketches and paintings carried out for this project, following with the technique and process. After that, I will comment on the budget and working time. And finally, I will then tell you about the storyline of the tale. I shall conclude with a short video of the final work. My project consists of a bilingual book for Spanish and English children, which comprises a short story with a fable, 28 illustrations, and a bilingual glossary on new words at the end. We have set some specific targets such as the learning of the English language, the transmission of values by means of a fable from which they can learn that it is impossible to live without other people's help. And the last objective, that is to show children something about the Australian fauna, their habitat and their behaviour. I conceived the idea when I came to Spain 3 years ago and realised the need for Spanish children to learn English and become aware of their lack of knowledge about the Australian fauna. In Australia, there are many native birds and animals. The 3 main characters of this book are the cassowary, the lyrebird, and the serpent. These characters are animals whom we have given human characteristics. Let's see them closely. In the first place, we find the lyrebird, which is a native Australian bird, well known for its ability to imitate natural and artificial sounds from the environment. They are notable because of the striking beauty of the male's huge tail when fanned out in display. The lyrebird is also found on the Australian 10th century. We also have the cassowary, a native Australian bird that eats fallen fruit and fruit toxic to other animals. It is a solitary bird and pairs only in breeding season. The male makes its nest on the ground, incubates the egg, and raises the chicks alone. Another of the characters of my story is a poisonous snake. In Australia, there are many venomous snakes. This is the evil character in my short fable. Snakes have always been a symbol of evil power. Many fable writers have inspired me, such as Aesop, a famous Greek fable writer of the 6th century before Christ, Phaedro, a slave and fable writer of 101 fables, Samaniego, a well-known Spanish fable writer, and Jean de La Fontaine, a French fable writer of the 17th century. Amongst the famous fabulists I have mentioned, Aesop is a famous Greek fable writer of the 6th century before Christ. One of his fables is The Lion and the Mouse, where the lion has pity on the mouse and lets him go free. Subsequently, the mouse was able to free the lion from the net where he was trapped. This teaches the need to help one another to be able to survive, and also that kindness always finds its reward. Some Australian illustrators that have inspired me are Freya Blackwood, Robert Ingpen, Anne James, and Jenny Hale. Some Spanish illustrators that have inspired me are from Mario Suarez's book and Carmen de Andres, who have influenced the way I paint the scenes and characters in this book. I would like to mention that the Australian illustrator Freya Blackwood has inspired me for her children's books and lively illustrations. As a curiosity, I would mention that she grew up in New South Wales and helped work on the technical effects for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. She uses a watercolor technique to demonstrate an animated scene, and this technique has helped me with the composition of my paintings. Robert Ingpen is another Australian illustrator who has illustrated for famous books such as The Jungle Book and Treasure Island. He uses a realistic style and projects curiosity in his illustrations and paintings. This illustrator has influenced the way I try to communicate the emotions of the characters in my short narrative. The target audience for this book are children aged 3 to 7 years old. I'd like to point out that one of the objectives of this tale is to help children learn English or Spanish. Included is also a vocabulary list at the end of the book to encourage and help the children to learn. This list includes the most relevant key words in order to help them to acquire new vocabulary. The aesthetic quality of this book includes its simple A4 format, the cover and back cover in cardboard, the photographic quality, the digital editing, and a Murcia Pro font for the text, which I chose to make it easier for children to read. The title on the cover has medium-sized children lettering. I have tried to give an overall aesthetic pleasing appearance to the paintings. Drawing in Elena's class and experimenting with watercolor techniques encouraged my idea. These are some of my watercolor paintings. I have used these paintings of the lyrebirds to create the main characters of my book. I have used many techniques in the process. Among them, I would highlight the washed out effect, the colored effect, the dry brush for details, the digital editing on Photoshop with tools such as Crop and Eraser, and finally, the InDesign software for the project report. In the budget, the first book printed and bound with all the documentation and the working time, calculated at €8 per hour, including all repetitions, would cost €1,939. It took approximately 200 hours, including the project report. If I were to market the book, I could print copies in softcover to lower the cost and make a higher profit. Let's move on to the penultimate part of the presentation that deals with the tale. These are my watercolor paintings. The fable begins when the animals are happily living in their habitat. I used light blue and dark green tones to illuminate the scene and to give a sense of life, light, and happiness, which is what children generally like. This page represents the birth of Lance, the lyrebird. I have used a watercolor blending effect with yellow and red colors for the sunrise in the background, and a bright, happy expression on Lance's face as he welcomes the new world. On these next pages, the mother and father lyrebirds leave to look for food for Lance. I have used bright, saturated colors set in a peaceful, natural environment. for the giant serpent and a feather to the left. In the first image, we can see the attack of the giant serpent. Lance is distracted by the butterfly and doesn't notice him. In the second image, the cassowary squashes the serpent's head. In the third image, the serpent escapes. In this scene, the mother and father lyrebirds return. The lyrebirds and the cassowary become very close friends and continued helping other animals forever. This is the end of the fable, when all the animals reunite to celebrate Lance's return. To end up, I will show you a short video I have made with the complete and narrated tale. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for your attention.
Lance's Dangerous Adventure. La peligrosa aventura de Lance.
Come on, scared of love, just last year. Oh, little soul, you're never here.
Spring finally arrived in the tropical rainforest of Queensland, Australia. What a beautiful world, exclaimed Lance the lyrebird as he burst out of his shell. We must search for food, said Mother Lyrebird and Father Lyrebird to Lance. Let's explore the rainforest, said the cassowary to Lance. What a beautiful butterfly, said Lance, who did not notice the serpent stalking, ready to attack him. Aha! Now I've got you, and I'm going to eat you alive, said the serpent. You are not going to eat him, a voice was heard. It was the cassowary. Leave Lance alone, or else I will pierce my claws into your stomach, said the cassowary, whilst he squashed the head of the giant serpent. Lance and the cassowary sang with joy at seeing the giant serpent escape. Father and Mother Lyrebird returned with food for Lance. This is how the lyrebirds and the cassowary became close friends and continued helping other animals forever. It is not possible to live without other people's help. The end.